I wrote this book and I'm doing these readings to spread the word about the information in the book. So if you like the book, tell other people. It'll be posted on YouTube and on stevewrites.com. So here's Chapter 9. Dad's Back. Dad! Rory had been trying to figure out from star positions where they might have been during the challenge when Javier Hurtado came in, weary but smiling, still holding his suitcase. Rory threw his arms around him. I'm glad you're back. Javier squeezed his son. Well, that makes two of us. He stroked Rory's hair. Any new developments? Rory grinned. A couple. You want to hear it now, or do we need to talk about Florida? Javier shook his head. Florida can wait. This is more interesting, but maybe I can shower some of this airport and travel yuck off first. 10 minutes? Rory nodded. Downstairs? I know Leon's been baking something special, and I'm sure it's better than what you've been eating. Even what you cook is better than what I've been eating. Rory poked him in the side. I'm not a bad cook, at least not as bad as some I've tasted, Dad. Javier held up his hands. Guilty as charged. He turned to go. See you soon. Short time later, they were gathered around the table. Leon's meal had quickly moved from plates to bellies. Javier turned to him and said, You're up, Rory. Let's hear it. Rory described the journey with Belaja to Esquiva and then to Albuquerque and the first challenge, filling in details as Javier or Leon asked. Both of them had enough experience in ancient cultures to question details, but not his sanity. When he was finished, he asked, So, what do you think? Leon spoke first. Must be hard. Watching, I mean. He must have watched all his friends die, then lifetimes of people without being part of it. I never thought about that, said Rory. He doesn't seem sad. Leon shook his head. No, I don't suppose you would see that. He cocked his head and looked at Rory. I wonder why he picked you, mijo. Not just me. He said we all decided to come here for this. He talked to you first. He said the others would follow if you decided. I have a feeling he has something in mind for you. I don't know. It was Tima who got us through the first challenge. Javier said, You said Esquiva is at Rattlesnake Ranch, right? Well, it was there. It's not there now. Sure it is. It's just covered with thousands of years of dirt. That means it's a real archaeological find. If we can excavate it, we could learn a lot about people of his time. Think of it. Proof of a civilization thousands of years older than any other in North America. I don't know if we can do that. He said his power comes from the Kiva. He may not want us to mess with it. Besides, the land belongs to Mr. Cisco. That's where he wants to build that quick market and fun center. Javier looked alarmed. We can't do that. I'll get an order from the State Historical Commission to halt it. Rory grinned. What will you tell them? Your 13-year-old son traveled through time and saw it when it was a Kiva? Javier shook his head. You're right. Sorry. I'm tired and it's been a rough week. He sighed, then looked hopeful. Next time you see Belaja, ask if we can excavate. Explain how careful we are. Rory nodded, and Javier continued. If he says it's okay, I'll figure out a way. If we can find any kind of proof, anything at all, that will be enough to get an order to stop work on the site until we investigate further. I'll talk with him about it. Javier was excited in spite of how tired he was. Until then, I want to interview you on the details. I want to get as many notes as possible on everything you saw and felt. We should start tomorrow. I want to get as much as we can before... Rory looked at him sharply. Before what? He sighed. Before you go to Florida. Our lawyer and I talked to the judge. He insisted that you come and spend time with your mother and be interviewed by both lawyers, plus a psychologist, plus a family services caseworker. Like it or not, it's going to happen, or we lose before we begin. Be prepared. They're going to ask a lot of personal questions. Who are they to ask about us? Would they ask if you were straight? They're just picking on us because you're gay. Leon stood and came over to Rory, took his hand and looked into his eyes. Mijo, you've got to get that thinking out of your head. These people, they're not picking on you or us. They work with kids because they care about kids. Our family is a new kind of family, and they don't know us. They don't trust new things because they don't want to experiment when kids are involved. So you have to show them, to teach them. Rory sighed. I guess you're right. They haven't been here to see our life. I just hate that I have to defend it. I also hate having to leave now. There's so much going on. Leon smiled. Showing them is a new way is hard on you. We got it harder because we're doing something new. But part of that thing is to show people the results. Even when they have hate or fear, show them with your actions what we have here. Rory leaned forward and hugged him. Leon, you are the best. Leon pushed him away, smiling, and said, I know. And speaking of showing what we have here, it sure smelled like cake this afternoon. Leon wiggled his eyebrows. It's possible, and headed toward the kitchen. Rory turned to his dad. Okay, I'll do it. And I'll be good. When and how long? You leave Monday. You said the second challenge is on Sunday, right? Rory nodded. Good. Monday I'll drive you to the airport and bring a tape recorder and you can tell me all the details on the way down. If all goes according to plan, you'll be back late Thursday or Friday. That's plenty of time before the third challenge. Dad, is there any chance either Kathy or the courts will pull a fast one and try and keep me there? Javier looked grim. I won't say it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely. I won't be there, but you will be in daily contact with Terry, our attorney. She told me that if they pull any tricks like that, she has already talked with national organizations and will go public in a big way. You'll be the poster child for gay families ripped apart. Rory shook his head. As much as I like the fame, that's not the way I want it. Me either. And Rory? What? You know that even when you come back, the judge may rule against us. He may require visitation or decide to give Kathy what she's asking for, complete custody. I won't do that. I want you to know the possibilities. Even if the worst happens, we have options. At that point, we'll bring suit to have the New Mexico courts make the decision. It may take some time, but we will eventually all be back together. Rory shook his head. I just wish Kathy would crawl back into her selfish little world and leave us alone. I don't think that's going to happen. I think she wants to prove to this new guy in her life that she has a heart. Well, if Melcha is right and we don't figure out what to do, we won't have to worry about any of us. I guess that's one good thing about the world ending. The world can't end, declared Leon, coming in from the kitchen carrying a platter. At least not until we finish this chocolate walnut cake. And that's the end of chapter 9.